Hey guys, in today's video we're going to have a look at the 3 types of generating power through your movement. So for some years I only knew one of these types, which we commonly called kime. And I didn't realize that there's actually 2 other ways of developing power. Today I'm going to talk through the 3 different methods and what is my preferred approaches and why. So the first method of power that I learned was kime. Kime is essentially tension within the body, and if you saw the last video I did on breathing, this certainly comes into it. What I was told at the time was that when we do our punch, at the point of impact, I lock my whole body together. That is, the back leg locks out straight, the hips rotate in, the body is straight, and the arm is locked with the shoulders down. It is one solid piece. And then with that, I squeeze the muscles and do my breathing. Here. It can be done with a ki, but the breathing's not really that important. What's important is the concept behind kime is that the body is locked together in one solid mass. The theory behind this is that if I'm going to impact something here, and this is all one solid mass, and that solid mass is attached to a solid ground, then everything is delivered into the opponent. The problem, of course, with this theory is that it lacks motion, and I'll talk about that a little more here. So the second method I learnt when I started learning Koryutanari. We call it total summation of joint forces, or sometimes known as the whip effect. Here's why it's called that. Imagine that you have a whip or a tea towel or some bit of cloth, and your friend or significant other walks past and you're looking to crack them on the butt. What do? You do this, right? And you give it a little whip. Now, I've got hold of one end, this is the handle, and then you got the crack on the other end, right? And the crack is the bit that gets the job done, but it's not the bit that I operate, right? So I'm operating this end, it cracks at that end. And this method uses that principle. So what I do is I start everything from the opposite end to the strike. I start at the foot, I work up through the leg, through to the hips, the torso, and finally end up with the punch on the end. The theory behind this method is that by combining the individual parts of the body, they equal more than the sum of those individual parts. Think of it like a chain. If we just had a whole bunch of links and threw them on the floor, we couldn't do anything with that chain. It's in the linking together of those individual chain links that makes it a chain, that makes it useful. It's like a team. So this uses that concept in that rather than locking everything together, each link in the chain has its own job to do, its own part to play. We start at the bottom, we work up through here, boom, and finally end up at the hand. We use 3 main sections of body. The lower body is the locomotion, the movement. The center mass is the torquing. And then finally, we end up with the arms, which is brachiation. Starting from the foot, I drive, I turn, and I end up at the punch. This method, I found, gives the maximum amount of power by using the body in this increasing intensity. It's like the whip that I showed you before. I whip it here, but I get a loud crack at the end because it amplifies as it works its way down the tea towel or the whip or whatever it is. And so too here. The vibrations increase from the bottom up through here, and by the time they reach the hand, crack. That's where we get the good power. The other advantage of this method is it uses motion. It doesn't allow me to be fixed in place. If you look back to one of my previous videos, we explored the idea of force. Force is me transferring my energy into my opponent. And the scientific formula for force is mass times acceleration. Acceleration, movement. If I'm locked, there's no acceleration at the point of impact. It's in moving that I get power. Think like a baseball bat. If I swing a baseball bat, I don't stop here when I hit the ball. I hit the ball and I fling all the way through the motion. So too with tennis. So too with golf. I swing through that motion. And so too when I punch here. I hit the target and I continue through with motion. And that's how I develop maximum power. There is, however, a downside to this method, and that is speed. It's slower because I'm starting from the base, working all the way up before I get to here. And that's where I learnt the third method. I learnt this method from Richard Norton. Most people will know who that is. He teaches his black belt complexes where he uses exceptional speed in his movement. And it's this method that allows him to move so quickly. The movement starts from the fist, which is contrary to what I said before about starting from the opposite end. It starts from the fist and it extends out until it's reached extension. Then the shoulder will follow, then the body will follow, and then finally the foot will follow. And what you can see is it's actually the complete opposite of the second method. Starts with the weapon, boom, and then continues through as I need to. I want you to imagine that someone has a rope on your hand and they're pulling it. You'll notice that it moves really gently until the body pulls. In fact, I'm going to get a friend to help me demonstrate. So all I do is I attach one side to my hand here, and as my partner pulls this forward, you can see that the hand goes first, then the arm, then the shoulder will follow, then the upper torso, then the upper legs, and then finally my body will move forward as well. So the obvious advantage of this method is speed. If I'm moving the hand before my center mass has even moved, then clearly this is going to be able to move much faster. What is more agile, a motorbike or a semi-truck? Clearly the motorbike is more agile and faster acceleration because it's a smaller mass. It's able to get moving faster. The problem is when it hits something, it doesn't hit with much force. And that's where the mass comes in, right? If a semi were to hit something, it's going to do a lot more damage than a motorbike would at the equivalent speed. So this is where understanding both of these concepts works really well. For me, I use both the second and the third method that I explained. The second method, where we drive from the opposite end, and the first method, where we pull with the weapon. Here's what I use them for. Let's say we're doing a very basic combination, jab, cross, right? Kazamazuki, gakuzuki. For me, I use that last method for the Kazamazuki because this is my lead-in shot, right? Boom, real quick. There's not a lot of power, it's just enough to clip him, okay? If I get a knockout with it, great. But what I see this is it's leading the way, it's paving the way for the big shot coming afterwards, okay? Think of this the same as military. If I'm coming in to storm the battleground, I'm going to send my foot soldiers first with light artillery first, and my heavy artillery comes second. They pave the way for the heavy artillery. This is exactly the same. My quick shot goes first, it drives out, no mass behind it, leads here, boom, and then stretches out, and then I drive off that back leg through to the hip and drive the second punch. So those are the three methods. You'll notice at the end there that I said that I only use the two. I don't use kime anymore. I don't believe it effective. In fact, I think it's predominantly used for protecting the limbs. And if we look into the history of karate, how it changed from pre-1933 to after that, and what the primary focuses were, you'll find some hints as to how kime came about and what its core purpose is. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope you got some value from this video. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.